Welcome, friends, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Optimal Health Program. We have some great information for you today. We're going to be taking calls here at 888-420-9272, 888-420-9272. You can call and ask a question. Today we'll talk a little bit about cholesterol, and we'll move sort of all over the place, but I want to get as much information out and answer as many questions as possible. That's really the purpose of trying to get people to understand what's wrong with them, how to fix things, and of course, answering your questions is one of the most important things I think that I could do. So we'll talk a little bit about cholesterol today. Obviously, cholesterol numbers are skyrocketing and have been for many years. I think that diet recommendations have been poor, and that's why this has led to this giant rise in cholesterol over many years. Statistics show that over 100 million adults have cholesterol over 200s. And 10 to 20% of those people are well above 240, which is not good. Traditionally, doctors like to give medications to lower cholesterol, but those medications do have side effects. I'm going to pull up a chart here in a second to show you in sort of a simple fashion as to what the cholesterol chart and panel and progression looks like. So we do have the breakdown of the cholesterol into some of the hormones, as you can see on the chart. Acetyl-CoA becomes, after a step or two, HMG-CoA. That's an important step because medications block HMG-CoA, like statins. And then if you look further down, you have the progression of CoQ10, and you're blocking CoQ10 by using a medication that is blocking the HMG-CoA reductase. So that becomes a bigger issue. And you need cholesterol for steroids, adrenal function, ovaries, testes. So that's why so many people have issues or side effects with statins. I'm not a fan of the statins. We typically don't use them because they have a multi-pronged approach to lower cholesterol, which always works. And no matter what, doctors recommend, I think this is a far greater and safer way to do it and more comprehensive. And the benefits that come from this recommendation, this program, are multiple as opposed to just lowering your cholesterol with a drug and not doing much else. So the reality is, people have a high cholesterol typically because either they're eating too much carbohydrate and that blood sugar goes up. Their intake of the sugars makes it hard to burn triglycerides, which are sugars and fats. So that's a problem, higher triglycerides, because of direct carbohydrate or sugar intake. It becomes hard to burn the cholesterol as a primary fuel when the carbohydrates are there in excess. And people don't do enough exercise. So we always recommend that every patient, at the very least, does a half hour every day of nonstop exercise. That tends to burn sugar, burn triglycerides, burn fat, burn cholesterol. And if you do that in combination with the low carb, then your body really can reach the fat to burn it as a primary fuel. If you look at hormone decline, which happens in people usually past the 20s and 30s in age, declining thyroid, DHEA, testosterone, IGF-I, makes it harder to burn sugars and fats. So you want to correct all of these. And vitamin decline also occurs for the majority of individuals. So correcting vitamins, minerals, hormones, exercise, and low-carb diet is a brilliant way to burn down cholesterol and triglycerides, LDL. And the other benefits with this plan include getting lots of oxygen into your body from doing the exercise. You're flooding your cells with oxygen, so that creates energy. You're flooding your cells with vitamins, minerals, and hormones. So this is perfect all ways around, no risk, no side effect. For those individuals that don't do a lot of exercise, all you really need to do is a little bit of walking. Some people can walk around the block, slow, brisk, fast, etc., and keep that going for a half hour. We try to get people to do it with someone else, and maybe they'll be talking for the half hour and not realize they're doing the exercise. We get that to 45 minutes or an hour would be great. And when we talk about doing a low-carb diet, you want to back off on fruit, except you can have berries. You want to get away from pasta, rice, oatmeal, grains, because they become a lot of sugar sitting in your gut over a long period of time. Every diet that's worked for cholesterol and weight loss is a low-carb diet, going all the way back to Atkins, Zone, Keto. They're all roughly the same idea in getting your body to pull the carbs back and out. And similarly, the same diet and exercise we also use for diabetics because it's the same mechanism. So each of these areas works extremely well. So you get multiple benefits by doing lots of exercise. You get multiple benefits by correcting your hormone decline, multiple benefits by correcting your vitamins. Vitamin correction decreases the risk of immune dysfunction, decrease the risk of cancer. Majority of the people that I see have very low vitamin D. We want to get that up between 80 to 100. So all of these things go hand in hand, so you're creating a much better outcome over the course of weeks and months than just taking a medication. So much more thorough and much more comprehensive. There are supplements that help with cholesterol. Red yeast rice is one of them. That's a plant extract that's been popular in the last 5 to 10 years. And rather than using a statin, some people, as we wean them down off of the statin, will put them on red yeast rice or berberine. So these things can have positive benefit without the risk or the side effect. The other curious thing, too, is that when you keep the carbs out of your diet and your body starts to decrease the insulin release, which makes you crave. So if you're eating carb, your blood sugar goes up, your body dumps insulin, your sugar drops. That's when you crave. If you're cutting the carbs down, you're not releasing the insulin, you're not craving. So you don't want to keep having the carbs and all the extra food. So that's another significant benefit. You're training your body not to crave and not to want the carbohydrate. Okay, phone lines are open if you'd like to call in to ask a question. 888-420-9272. 888-420-9272. Let's go to our first caller. Hi there, how are you? And who do we have?
Hello, hello.
Okay,
Hello?
so we're having a little difficulty getting our first caller up online.
There we go.
Hi, how are you?
Hello? Hello, doctor?
Not
Hi, my
coming
name
clear
is
into the headphone.
PJ.
That's okay. There are glitches that occur here and there.
Hello, doctor. Thank you for taking my call.
I can barely hear. So I'm going to have to turn it up a little bit on my little magic dial here. Can you say that again?
Hi, doctor. Thank you for taking my call.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Good talking to you.
Yeah, my name is PJ, and I've been a professional golfer for over just about 40 years now.
Wow, great.
And I've got back issues that nobody seems to be able to help me.
Okay. So it's sort of an occupational hazard. Yeah. Doing a physical activity that can be very strenuous like that can put a lot of wear and tear on soft tissue, connective tissue, also muscles. And shifting of the spine within the swing can also affect the ligaments that hold your vertebrae in place, and some grinding can occur on the discs. So grinding on the discs could create pressure where the disc can bulge and hit up against the nerve root, one side or the other, or both, and create pain down to the legs. So this is a very, very common progression. Ligaments that crisscross, throughout your sacrum, which is the lower part of your back. Here, if you can see that, this orange-colored area is the sacrum, and there are lots of ligaments that go back and forth, crisscrossing sacrum to ilium, and from your low back down and across. So each of these ligaments becomes stretched out over time, and we want to create more strength and integrity there. So there are a variety of different things that I think would help you. For some people, starting off by decreasing some of the muscle spasm, some massage, maybe some traction. There are doctors and chiropractors that have some traction tables that help to create stretching. To work on the ligaments and tendons, typically we could inject your own blood, called PRP, platelet-rich plasma. That can help to stimulate repair. But PRP, as good as it is, only lasts about a month. For some people that have a more progressive wear and tear, we might opt to do stem cell therapy, where we take your own stem cells, inject them, pepper them into the ligaments and tendons around the entire area to create growth, strength, and stability. And then once these things start, you might be able to do some physical therapy or some activity or exercise, maybe some very, very lightweight but controlled weight resistance to try to get your muscles to have their stability again. So this is a multi-pronged approach as opposed to just giving you a pill.
Now, may I ask you another question?
Sure.
I was recently diagnosed with COPD.
Ah, okay.
A light version of it.
Okay.
Any answers or help?
Well, yeah. For COPD, that's just degeneration of the lung tissue, the lining, the inside of the lung tissue. If you remember back to high school or college anatomy or biology, you have these little sacs inside your lungs, almost looking like grape clusters, and these empty sacs called alveoli have a very important membrane so that when oxygen comes into your lung, these air sacs will then allow the oxygen to transfuse into the blood vessels that line these sacs. That's probably the simplest way to describe it. I'm always looking for simple ways to describe things so that people can understand it. So iron inside your red blood cell is the magnet that grabs the oxygen and pulls that into the cell. And if enough of that happens, you're carrying that oxygen attached to the iron in your blood cell, and then it releases to your entire body. So that's an important mechanism. So when the lining of the lungs is damaged, you're not getting a lot of that oxygen transport. You don't have these smooth, glistening areas where oxygen jumps right on board. And the red blood cells are like cars on a train where you want to load them up and then deliver all the oxygen. The best mechanism that I've seen is stem cell therapy. And we can show the videos on the website, drcalapai.com, of a couple of patients, a man and a woman, who had pretty bad COPD, either using oxygen. Another doctor had a lovely lady on multiple meds. She didn't want to carry the oxygen machine around, so we did the procedure. Within the first day, these individuals said that they had better breathing. The gentleman, Dennis, said he didn't need to use his inhaler, and he hadn't used it since the procedure. So we're doing intravenous stem cells, putting your own cells back into your bloodstream to go all over your body, everywhere your blood flow goes. And then we use a nebulizer. And people have seen asthmatics and people with lung disorders holding a nebulizer, and the air pushes through, becomes mist, and now you're breathing a medication. But instead of medication, we put stem cell into that chamber so that you're breathing that as the mist topically to your lungs, so you get your stem from both ways, from blood vessels, because your lungs are very vascular, and then topically with the stem cells through the nebulizer. So that you can see some pretty dramatic benefit with. But take a look at the videos on the website. You'll see that. And, of course, give us a call at the office. We'd love to help you out. The office number is 516-794-0404, and the website's drcalapai.com.
All right. Thank you very much for everything.
Yep. Look forward to seeing you. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, bye.
All righty. Phone lines are open again. 888-420-9272. 888-420-9272. If you'd like to call in to ask a question, you could do so now. And we'll wait to get a few more people up on board. So, as I say, the approach that we utilize is really, comprehensive. We're looking to improve every part of the picture so that, it's not just relying on a drug to try to change the symptom, because then the cause of the problem gets ultimately worse. So, in a perfect world, change the cause and the symptom goes away. If you're treating the symptom, the cause will stay and get worse. So, very important. Okay, you have another phone call. Hi there.
Yes.
Hi, who am I speaking with? Hi, how are you?
Good, Lenore Santry.
How are you? How can I help you?
I'm good, and you?
Great, thank you.
I have a couple of questions about hormone changes when you're in menopause.
Okay.
How do you protect your bones and your heart?
Sure. So the overview, and I start with when I see patients in consultation for hormone-related issues, it could be anything from hot flashes to issues with hair, skin, nails, memory, focus, concentration, bone changes, osteoporosis. The list can be varied because you have hormone receptors everywhere in your body, and that's the way it's supposed to be. When you're young, you have lots of hormones, and all your cells and your body's doing extremely well. But as you start to decline the hormone production from different tissues and organs, and even from your brain, you lose neurotransmitters, your body changes. So we don't want that to make your body progress into being worse or to have more medical issues, heart-related, bone-related, or otherwise. So we're looking at a blood test to look at your hormones, estrogen, progesterone, DHEA, even testosterone for women, IGF-I, which is the active component of growth hormone, all the thyroid panel, the 12-part thyroid panel. We look at all of these things, not just one, and we watch to see, and if you bring us prior blood work, that would be really nice, because then we can watch to see the trend of your hormones changing and then take steps to help to correct that. So we can correct the hormones, whether it's capsule or cream. We could also do pellets under the skin that will last for 4 to 6 months or so. At the same time, we recommend doing exercise, fine-tuning diet, giving your body the best chance to get back to function like it did in prior ages. Have you done testing for the bone density yet?
No, I actually asked my gynecologist, and I guess like a year ago, or well, I'm 54, so probably last year, and she had said that I have to get it approved by my insurance company.
It's amazing to me how insurance companies are blocking, all sorts of things because they don't want to have to pay out for tests, but you need to do that. And it's not an expensive test. So a lot of my patients where the insurance company books will just call the facility and say, hey, I want to pay out of pocket. I mean, it's not a very expensive test just to do the bone density. So you want to see if your bones are changing. If they are, let's take some steps.
Right.
If your hormone levels are low and the estrogen progesterone are low and FSH, which is part of the feedback mechanism, which is your brain telling your ovaries to make more estrogen progesterone. If the FSH is very high and the estrogen progesterone low, you want the estrogen progesterone to come up a bit and the FSH to come down. So there are ways to monitor how well you're doing with that.
Okay, so I will then, I guess, request a bone density test.
Yeah, definitely get the bone density test. We should look at your estrogen, progesterone, thyroid, all of these hormones, because, and many doctors do this, they focus on giving you one hormone evaluation and one replacement. I wouldn't use the conjugated equine estrogen, which is made from horse urine. So I don't think that works well with your body. You want to use bioidentical hormone, and that would make the most sense. So we would do the testing, make recommendations for you, put together the protocol, and then retest to make sure that everything's good. You might wait 6 months to repeat the bone density test, but once all of these things are in place, you should do fine.
Okay, yeah, because I definitely have very bad hot flashes. They sometimes they're really bad, like uncontrollable, and then sometimes they're under control. And I was a little nervous with the hormone therapy because they say it can cause cancer. I don't know much about it.
Well, that may be correlated with the conjugated estrogen from equine source. But as we start to give you a little bit of these hormones, which is what you've had your whole life in bigger amounts, we may just give you enough to change the mechanism of the hot flashes and to protect your bone. Vitamin D, by the way, is also really important for protecting your bone. A little bit of testosterone for women is really important for protecting your bone. We may give you a little bit of a under-the-tongue pellet that dissolves at 5 milligrams or so. But as I say, whenever people come in with any hormone question or any age-related concern, we want to look at all of the hormones and the exercise, et cetera, to correct that.
Yeah,
interesting too.
Yeah, I do exercise.
Good.
And I'm not overweight or anything like that. I wanted to tell you a pill that I take at night that my gynecologist gave me. It is called, I'm going to spell it for you, PAROXETINE. And MESYLATE. It's 7.5 milligrams. She said that because when I went last year, she told me, because I was a little bit against the hormone therapy, she said she gives it to a lot of women that just started full menopause. And I felt like it was helping, but now I feel like I'm getting them bad again.
Well, it's not going to get you to make your hormones again or put you in a better zone. It may be changing some of your symptoms. So this is a common thing that doctors do. The other comment I wanted to make before I forgot is that testing for DHEA, adrenal hormone, is really important because DHEA, if we correct that, if you're low, that can help you to balance the estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So for some women, we start with just DHEA, and they get better stress response. They may sleep better. In some people, when DHEA comes up, their hair starts to turn a little bit darker again. And then we also recheck the estrogen, progesterone, et cetera. So we sort of start with a very simple process and work forward as we need. So that's the best way, comprehensive way to do that.
Okay, so I guess I'll call your office and make an appointment.
We'd love to help you out. That'd be great. 516-794-0404. And the website is drcalapai.com. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your help.
Have a great day. You're welcome.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, great questions. I first started radio many years ago. People would call in with relatively basic questions. Should I take vitamins? Should I not take vitamins? Should I do this? What are the benefits of exercise? Now we have questions that are so in-depth because people are learning and reading, and they want to really be as healthy as possible. So it's great that people in the population are asking for the knowledge to create strength and health and longevity. That's, of course, what we're here for. Okay, phone lines are open once again, 888-420-9272, 888-420-9272. If you'd like to call in to ask a question, you can do so now. We're going to talk, I think we'll do a whole program on peptides, because peptides have come to the forefront of anti-aging medicine or understanding longevity medicine and getting your body to function better again. So one of the comments I make every day, and I try to have nice little concise paragraph comments about different things so people could understand and kind of walk away with a good understanding of things. In my mind, it's better to give your body back the thing that you've always had, that you required, that you did very well with a few years ago or many years ago. That's more natural than using a drug that you've never seen that may have side effects and other issues with it and not correct your requirements. So when we talk about correcting nutrients, when we talk about correcting hormones, we want to be bioidentical. When we talk about peptides, and again, this will be a brief chat, we'll do a whole program on the peptides. When we talk about NAD, for example, NAD has been all over the place in all the news. People call up questioning it. They come into the office asking for it. It's a terrific, terrific substance. NAD is nicotine adenine dinucleotide. It is involved in just about every chemical pathway in your body. And the pathway that takes oxygen to create energy, if you remember back to high school science, oxygen has to convert a bunch of times to become 36 molecules of ATP. And the cofactor, coenzyme controller of that is NAD. And I promise next time we talk about NAD, I'm going to put up a chart that's so confusing that you'll look at it and your mind will be rattled, but I'll be able to, with my little pen and iPad mini, walk you through the diagram. So from oxygen getting to ATP, 36 molecules of energy, NAD does that. It controls that. It's got to be there for that. When we're young, we have tons of that, and our brain function is sharp, focus, great concentration. As we get older, we lose that. But NAD is also very important to help to repair cells of your body. So it's thought to repair your organs. It's thought to repair DNA. And I'll cite some specific research on that as well. Maybe we'll do some of that tomorrow or Monday's program. And when we talk about NAD correction, you can take a pill of NAD. It's not made. And honestly, you can't really take a precursor pill and expect to perfectly convert into NAD. I've seen lots of people that have taken different things and are waiting for something to happen, and they just don't see it. So my point is, why not go directly to the NAD and kind of bypass the precursors? Some people don't convert. We spoke a week or so ago about thyroid. Doctors think if you take T4 thyroid, it converts to T3. We don't see that because we're testing T3. We're testing reverse T3. So put that aside. So with NAD, our best recommendation is to give you a little bit of a shot with a tiny, tiny little insulin syringe, and the needle's the size of your eyebrow or your eyelash hair, and you give yourself an injection initially every other day. The dosage you give is 0.05 ml. So, people have seen a 1 ml syringe. A tenth of that ml is a tenth of that, and the 0.05 is half of that. So it's a tiny drop of liquid. You're giving yourself that shot every other day in the morning, and typically people say within 15 minutes, which you never see with people taking the oral, wow, my focus, my word retrieval is better, my concentration, my mood is good. I want to get up and go. So it gives your body what you've always had a lot of, and you're bringing it back. So typically if people do that every other day over the course of a few months, they feel terrific. And I have patients sign a form, fill out a form that lists all of their symptoms down the left column, and then week to week they write down how those symptoms are doing based upon what we're recommending: vitamins, minerals, exercise, NAD, vitamin IVs, stem cell, whatever we're doing. So this works beautifully to track your benefits. So overwhelmingly, people feel terrific with the injections of NAD. And as I say, we'll have people in taking the NAD and describe how well they're doing. We'll get some people to interview for that. Once again, phone lines are open, 888-420-9272, 888-420-9272.
We also have an Instagram. We asked the Instagram audience, if they have any questions, we'd love to answer. And we do have a question from Instagram.
Great, okay.
I could put that up. Let me get that.
Sounds good. We got some grammars.
Here we go. This is from Instagram.
Okay. Sharp pains in the esophagus. Good question. So the esophagus is the tube that goes from your mouth and your throat down to your stomach. So over time, some people can have erosion of the lining of the esophagus, and they could have esophagitis. That can come from a variety of things. It can come from an infection, virus, bacteria. Yet other people have esophageal discomfort because the sphincter that's supposed to be tight at the bottom of the esophagus as it enters the stomach might be a little bit weaker, and acid that's in your stomach helping to burn and break down your foods, etc., may be splashing up into the esophagus, creating irritation, inflammation. So esophagitis can be caused by a variety of things. The latter, the second part that I'm talking about, is reflux. Reflux esophagitis, where the acid is popping up into the esophagus from the stomach. So some people that lie down will have that acid track up into the esophagus because it's easier if you're laying flat. Some people that eat certain foods will have this. And strangely enough, a lot of my patients that are allergic to grains or react to grains will have more esophagitis, so more stomach complaints and esophageal complaints than those who don't. And the people who take the grains out in that circumstance will start to see they have a far better result. For some people who use combinations of nutrients to help to try to coat and heal the lining of the esophagus, of course we test for food allergy and take the offending foods out. We'll get people away from things like tomato that's somewhat acid, vinegar, etc. So we can change foods, we can change the diet, we can change supplements to help to change that mechanism of the inflammation. But I would also test the blood looking for viruses, other things that may be common contributors to that. But it's pretty common. Okay, very good. 1-888-420-9272. If you'd like to call in to ask a question, you could do so now. 888-420-9272. It seems as well that allergies are on the rise. Over the 36, 7, 8 years or now that I've been practicing, I got my medical degree in 1986. 39 years. Wow. Staggering. So there weren't as many people complaining of reactions to foods back then. And progressively over time, we've seen more and more of this. Of course, I always talk to people about what they eat and whether or not a food's bothering them or not, if they have bloating, indigestion, changes in bowel movement. And invariably, we'll do a screening test for blood for allergy, just to see if there are any antibodies binding to the foods they're eating. We'll also test for gluten, because a lot more people today are reacting to gluten than ever before. And probably 70% of my patients are reacting to some of the foods they're eating. Now, some of that is actual allergy, where either a blood IgE test or a blood IgG test describes that. Or, and remember when you do a blood test, it's only taking a look at a little bit of blood that comes from the needle into the tube for 3 seconds that it takes to fill the tube. So it's not looking at all your blood or a ton of blood. It's just looking at a small sample. You may not see antibodies in some of those samples, but you still could be allergic. That's why, as our second step in the most thorough test, we do intradermal testing up on the arm near the shoulder. And there we take a tiny little needle and raise a little wheel, WHEAL, little liquid, into the skin with the food allergen and see if you have response to that. If you do, we take those foods out. And typically symptoms will go away over the course of days because the food is not there to provoke the antibodies to create the symptom. So I talk about this every day, and it's because people come in with all sorts of weird, unexplainable symptoms that we've been able to figure out are correlated with food. So I had a discussion yesterday with a young lady, and we found that she was food allergic, took the foods out. She felt great. Skin was clearing up, all sorts of great things. She had gone to an allergist before, and the traditional allergist didn't want to test for foods. I said, yeah, but you told them the same thing you told me, correct? Yeah, bloating, indigestion, weird things, skin issues, and they may not correlate that, but certainly with stomach issues, you have to test for food allergy. My comment, too, is that you could be allergic to the food or the chemicals in the food or the GMO component of the food. And I've seen this directly with lots of patients who will go to Europe on vacation and they have a bowl of pasta, no problem. Here they can't have pasta, it kills them. Everything over there is non-GMO. And the foods over there are far more pure, organic. And friends and patients that I've known that go back and forth to South America. One girl had asked me, what does organic mean? This is a few years ago, but I said, it means it's got no chemicals in the food. So she sat there for a second and said, so that means all the other foods have chemicals in it? I said, yeah, they don't have chemicals to the extent that we do in Brazil and Europe. So important things to think about when you're trying to figure out how to help someone that's got some very odd conditions or symptoms. Once again, phone lines are open, 888-420-9272. If you'd like to call and ask a question, you could do so.
We have another Instagram question.
Okay, let's go to another Instagram question.
Boom.
How to avoid accidentally consuming plastics? Ooh, that's a really
It's a
good
whole
question.
episode right
Oh,
there.
yeah. I love that question. So we've all heard and we know, and we could look online at plastics, coming in some very, very common places. The first thing to talk about would be bottled water, because bottled water sitting in plastic coming from a manufacturer may sit on a pallet with 1,000 other bottles, maybe in the sun. It may be affected a variety of ways. My recommendation is not to drink water out of plastic bottles. First step. I think it's far better to drink from glass or to buy those that are put into glass bottles because you get no plastic exposure with that. Are there plastic found in other foods? We're starting to see that. We're starting to understand that wrapping foods in plastic and such may be creating a contaminant. Now, again, this hasn't been 30, 40, 50 years of research, so we're still somewhat new in looking at research of plastic exposures, but the plastic water containers have been researched very well. Nalgene is a type of plastic that's in those hard plastic bottles. People that go bike riding, they have those hard plastic bottles on the frame of the bike. Those are Nalgene. The bisphenols, bisphenol A, chemicals that are put into the regular common plastic water bottles, they distort hormone production. There's also an interesting triangle at the bottom of the plastic water bottles, and if they have a 1, 3, or a 7, I wouldn't use that at all because that's sort of the code that shows that they may have chemicals in the process of making the plastic. So little tidbits, but I'll do a whole program on plastics as well because I want to be able to delve into the research, deep dive, and then give you some of the scary information. I like giving people scary information and try to scare them to be healthy.
It's terrifying.
But yeah, it really is. You have to be careful what you eat. You have to try to eat as organically as humanly possible. Make your own foods. There are lots of different things that you could do rather than going out and buy pre-produced food and kind of take the risk. So, and there are a lot of great cookbooks out there that are healthy, organic, low-carb cookbooks. There are a lot of great options out there, but it's important. It behooves us to try to learn about foods and contaminants and try to keep these things out of the picture. There's a great book written by a man named Richard Lewis. He's a PhD, not the comedian. Rest his soul. Great comedian. And this book described all the chemicals that are put into foods. Last time I looked at this a couple of years ago, there were 65 chemicals put into poultry, 75 some odd put into beef, unless, of course, they're organic. And these chemicals didn't have names. There were coded numbers and letters and extremely confusing, I guess on purpose. But you don't want to keep putting all this stuff into your system, into your body. Some people can grow their own vegetables on their property, in soil, which you could have tested and you could nurture and you could put your own good, healthy fertilizers, things into it. My dad used to take vitamins, multivitamins, and throw them into the garden, and we used to get gigantic tomatoes and really great things. I remember that, rest his soul. So there's also a company online, there are probably a few of them now, I think it's called Garden, Gardyn. And although this sounds like an advertisement for it, it should be, although it isn't. They have a device where you can grow plants inside your house with a self-watering system, little pods that have every different vegetable you could possibly imagine, and you're growing it inside. It's got their own light on it. It's very space-friendly. I think it's about 3 or 4 feet wide, probably 6 feet high. It's a genius idea. It's perfectly, it's perfectly controlled environment for those vegetables. Who'd want to do that? You know, where do you get your vegetables in the winter? Well, you can get your own vegetables year-round. Perfect. So I'm a big fan of that. Very important to have that control over the things that you're eating. Great question. Once again, phone lines are open, 888-420-9272 if you'd like to call in, 888-420-9272, and we can chat. So, the idea of being healthy and creating longevity takes work. And I've said this for years. And I talk about this every day. Every patient that I see, we talk about A to Z. What are you eating? How much exercise are you doing? How well are you sleeping? For some people that aren't sleeping well, it's a hormone decline. So, yeah, we talk about that. We can correct that. And when we go over your blood work, it's a lot of information to understand. People will take notes. Some people record it. We give them copies of everything, handouts. So you want to put together the best combination of foods for your body, what you need, not try to fit yourself into someone else's pre-written diet book. The best foods for you. Yes, of course, we try to keep carbs in a very tight range. The best vitamins for you based upon your blood test recommendations, and then retesting to prove that those vitamins are great. Again, same thing with the hormones. And putting the exercise together. Everybody should be doing this. And we recommend this for everyone.
We have a question in the live chat, wondering what your thoughts are with Ozempic for people, you know, just for weight loss rather than for diabetes.
So Ozempic and the medications that have come along that path are typically weekly shots to help decrease your appetite and allow your body to be less hungry and therefore not snack as much or eat smaller meals. If you look at what most people have done over years to become overweight, and it can be any number of pounds overweight, 30, 50, and beyond, my initial idea was that, well, and my prevailing thought is, if it's going to take that person a really long time to lose the weight naturally or without a medication, does it make sense to use that for short term to achieve the result, get them out of the danger zone, and get them into a much healthier place? And if you're using it for a couple of months, they get the result, and now the low-carb diet, the exercise is still kicking in, hormone correction, all these things are kicking in. They may not need it, which we see in most cases. I think it may be a good tool to use to give them that extra benefit. I'm not a fan of using these things forever, in years and years. For those people that are type 2 diabetic, we do the same low-carb exercise, correct hormones, vitamins, stem cell therapy to get their pancreas to become younger and have new cells that make insulin to reverse the diabetes. So for diabetics, we don't typically put them on that weekly shot forever and watch to see what happens. There may be some risk for being on the medications for a long period of time. We routinely check the pancreatic enzymes, amylase and lipase, to make sure that those aren't elevating from the use of the weekly shot. So trying to be judicious and to get a great result for you, sometimes you might need a little help. Metformin has been used as well in similar circumstance. So as long as a person is not getting any bad side effect from it, and we both agree to do it short term, then I think it could take you out of the danger zone. So what's the danger zone? Too much sugar floating around in your blood, too much weight having to pump against with your heart, that sugar and cholesterol tending to affect the lining of your blood vessels, your nerves, and then a whole separate mechanism called glycation where sugar damages inside your cells and mitochondria, etc. You don't want to sit there and have that there for a long period of time. So I'm an advocate for changing your body, getting you out of the danger zone in a safe, healthy, effective way, relying heavily on the natural things that I keep mentioning. And if we need to use a medication short term, then I think that's not a bad idea. But it's got to be watched and controlled by the doctor. And you have to do all the other things. I would never give the medication unless the person is already starting on low-carb exercise, correcting vitamins, minerals, and hormones. So we start that right at the first visit. We may start that. Give them a low-carb handout. Give them a green sheet that we have that lists all sorts of great substitute foods. You know, I've been to Whole Foods a million times, and I'll go up and down the aisles and look for new things that are great substitutes. So if people are dying to have pancakes now and then, and they don't want to totally give up the things they like, you can have pancakes made with almond flour. I think Arrowroot Mills is one of the bigger companies that makes the flour without the grains. And you could use that. You could have monk fruit syrup, which tastes like maple, but there's no sugar. So you could still have some of those things that you like the taste of without all the sugar in the grain. There are chips that are made by Siete and a few other companies that are grain-free chips. You like chips and salsa? I love chips and salsa. That's the way it is. So I'll have chips and salsa, but I'll have grain-free chips. Why not? And the list goes on and on. For a lot of people that love oatmeal, there's a better and certainly healthier and more nutritious way to do that. You can have chia seeds mixed in with almond milk, and I use an Orgain. It's the name of the protein powder, Orgain. Organic plant-based protein powder with 21 grams of protein. Mix it all together. Put it in the fridge. It congeals, and when it's done, within an hour or 2 or 3, some people make it overnight in the morning, you've got a nice bowl of what looks and tastes like oatmeal, but it's not oatmeal. And the benefits of the nutrients from the chia, from the almond milk, from the protein, it's terrific. It's better than what most people have for breakfast anyway. So there are lots of great ways to substitute things, still have the kind of things that you like. You know, Julian Bakery on Amazon makes grain-free bread, which is delicious, made from nuts or seeds. You know, the list goes on and on. There's also a company that makes pasta and what looks like rice from konjac root, which has no carb. And it tastes terrific. Of course, you can kind of make the sauce whichever way you want to make your sauce. And have that. I think it's called gluten-free pasta. I have to, Simply Pasta. I have to bring my green sheet in to be able to, and we'll put that up on the screen so people can look at that and be able to buy some great things at Whole Foods and have lots of great stuff to have. The other substitute for rice, cauliflower rice. And as funny as it sounds, people will say, what do you mean cauliflower? I'm like, cauliflower. It's a big head of, oh, you mean cauliflower. I'm like, does it sound that different from cauliflower to cauliflower? Literally, people say that. And
Welcome to Long Island.
You know, do I have a New York accent? I don't think so. I try to be as easy to understand as possible. But at any rate, you can take that thing. It comes chopped up like rice. You can put it in a pan with garlic and olive oil and tomatoes and peppers. If you're Sicilian, you put some pignoli nuts in it. There are lots of things to do which will give you no carb, but it's a big, healthy serving, and it tastes great. You can season things any way you like. I love Cajun seasoning, so I'll put Cajun seasoning on some of my food just because I like the taste. I don't like things to be bland, and I don't think most people don't like bland food, but there are lots of different ways you can season things. So, you know, I may have to do a whole show on just switching from carbs to low carbs, grain-free, and getting a ton of great foods. And I'm going to have to go out and look for some low-carb cookbooks and highlight those good cookbooks so people can just buy the cookbook online and go to town, you know, make a variety of different things.
We have some more questions.
Okay. More questions.
So this is from the Instagram chat. We have, this is a kind of a two-part question. So it says, thoughts on stem cell therapy and NAD IV for pancreas issues. And then this is the follow-up. This person had very bad COVID in 2020. He or she was hospitalized and said everything went downhill from there. They developed exocrine, pancreatic insufficiency. The currently get IV infusions and receive vitamin K IV as well because their vitamin K was very low.
Gotcha. Really, really good question. Here's the really, really good answer. So stem cells, and the easiest way to understand it, are cells in your body that have one job, two jobs. The one major job is to go where damage and degeneration is and to become brand new cells of that tissue. The secondary thing that they do is shut down the inflammatory cascade. And I can prove that with literature. I can prove that certainly with my diabetic patients who have pancreatic decline, where we've done stem cell therapy intravenously, and over the course of 2 to 4 or 5 months, from that stem cell IV, have become non-diabetic. So the stem cells will go to any of those organs through the IV and set up shop and become brand new heart, lung, liver, kidney, pancreas, gut cells. Videos on the website prove that. Tons and tons of literature proves that. So that's one of the most important first steps because you're rejuvenating and making that organ function again. You're giving it new cells. And stem cells will become other cells because that's what they're there for. That's how God made them. They're there to do that. The inflammatory cascade also, if lupus and rheumatoid and other types of arthritis are dramatically decreased by stem cell. There's a great video. One of our patients, Donna, a lovely woman with a pink sweatshirt on the website, has rheumatoid and has done extremely well with that. So that's important. NAD is a wonderful add-on because, as I mentioned before, NAD is that controller of taking oxygen and making that convert to 36 molecules of ATP. And that's good for everybody and anybody. Of course, you wouldn't give it to a kid because they've got a ton of it, but as you get older and you're not able to have that great focus, concentration, that cellular repair, the NAD works extremely well with that. So that's a pretty smart question for someone just to come out and ask about STEM and NAD. So that's pretty cool. This is a person who reads, they're looking at literature, articles and such. For COVID, this is also a relatively simple comment. A lot of our patients that had COVID, when we got them on vitamin C IVs, and there's literature that describes this, Google Scholar is where I go and search all sorts of cool stuff. And if you look up on Google Scholar, in the search box, intravenous vitamin C therapy, you'll see 1,400,000 studies that talk about vitamin C helping to quadruple your killer cells to fight infection, helping to stop free radicals. There's a great study that was done talking about vitamin C IVs for sepsis, where your body's got a bloodborne infection that could easily kill you, and how well vitamin C works for that. Articles on vitamin C helping to inhibit cancer in combination with other protocols. Vitamin C inhibiting the shingles virus, Epstein-Barr virus. There's a great study I have up on the wall in the office in the exam rooms that talk about Epstein-Barr virus hepatitis and vitamin C IVs working with that. So there are a lot of great things that can be done. So with a lot of our post-COVID patients, they do great with the vitamin IVs. But remember, we're also fixing their vitamins, minerals, hormones, exercise. We may have them on NAD. For COVID patients who've had lung issues, we've done stem cells, intravenous stem, and also the nebulizer, so you're breathing the stem liquid and mist into your lungs to both topically and through vasculature get the stem cells to repair your lungs. So absolutely have done that. So really great, well thought out question. That sounds like a question from a doctor. And we have doctors that call. I have doctors that will email us on the website. We have tons of emails, and we'd love you to do that if you like. drcalapai.com that ask questions, and sometimes they get into these great conversations with these doctors. If you had seen one of the videos, which kind of went all over the place, pretty viral, about the gentleman who had a stroke, he was talking about calling the neurologist because he was due to have his Botox injections, but told the neurologist he didn't need them. And the neurologist said, that's not possible. He went to see the neurologist. The neurologist looked at him and couldn't understand, what he'd seen. That afternoon, the neurologist called and goes, what the heck did you do? Explained it all to him. He started sending me MS, Parkinson's, stroke patients, all sorts of patients that had and still does that have these types of damage because he saw with his own eyes how it worked. He never would have believed that in a million years. Most doctors wouldn't believe it in a million years because they're not exposed to something like this. Once again, phone lines are open or text lines are open, however we can get your question. 888-420-9272, 888-420-9272. A lot of people coming from Instagram. This is terrific.
Instagram's great.
Thank you so much. The Grammars. Not Kelsey, of course, but I did meet Kelsey Grammer. That's another cool story. The Instagrammers. Yes.
All right, this is what we got. What can be done about side effects from chemo and Keytruda treatments, redone triple negatives, breast cancer survivor now having terrible joint pain?
So, the best comments I could give you are based upon a physician that I know very well and refer to for all patients that I see that come in with cancer. The doctor's name is James Forsyth, MD, in Reno, Nevada. And by far, he's got the best survival of his patients. I've sent him many over the years because his protocol is comprehensive. As I say, my protocols are comprehensive. So, in short, and he's been around in practice for many years. He's got to be close to 80 now, but he's a genius beyond all comparison. And he's got the greatest survival of stage 4 cancer patients that no other doctor, no other hospital, no one else can tout. Well over 2,000 patients that live long lives, and this is how it works. You go out to see him, or you can do a phone consult with him. He'll typically recommend doing a blood test where he takes the blood, sends it to Greece. There's a lab in Greece called RGCC, Research Genetic Cancer Center. And they'll take your blood, find the cancer cells in the blood, because when you already have a tumor, it's already in your blood. They'll take those cancer cells and grow them in colonies and continue to grow them. And if they have 150 colonies, they'll test each colony individually, one type of chemo, different type of chemo, different type of chemo, vitamin C, vitamin D, mushroom extracts that have anti-cancer effect, 150 different natural things, including a bunch of the chemos. So in doing that, you can get a relatively quick 2-week or so look at whether the chemo is inhibiting the cancer or the vitamin D, the vitamin C, quercetin, mushroom extract, any of those things are inhibiting the cancer. There's a 20 or so page report that lab will make showing you the genetic breakdown of the cancer, the different genes that are expressed, what things turn the gene on, what thing turns the gene off. So it's a brilliant, brilliant test. And from that information from that lab, he puts together recommendations. I've seen this work. I've spoken to his patients. I've seen pancreatic cancer patients live very long lives. His patients. I've had my patients go there, come back, wonderful results. So it's a chemosensitivity test. In a way, you're seeing whether the chemo is going to work or not. Now, contrast that to a doctor not having that test or knowing about that. They'll bombard you with chemo. They don't even know what's going to work. So what if it doesn't work and you wasted time and effort and energy? I'd much rather have that test done. The other amazing thing that he does with that information is he understands the value of vitamin C IVs helping to make your immune system strong, helping to inhibit and stop free radical damage, having some anti-cancer effect. He'll do vitamin IVs 3 days a week. Twice a week, he'll do an IV and put a combination of things in it. So first he'll give you the IV with a little bit of insulin. It lowers your blood sugar, and the cancer cell receptors, because they need glucose to grow, and more of it so it can grow faster than regular cells. They'll give a little bit of insulin, blood sugar drops a little bit, they monitor that. Then they'll give you a little bit of the dose of the different chemos that show that they work, but a tiny dose, maybe a 20th of the dose. And in doing that, they'll put some nutrients in with the IV that on that test show benefit. Then they'll take something called D50, which is a big syringe of a ton of glucose, and push that right after the medication installation into the IV. So like a Trojan horse, the meds and all this glucose gets preferentially sucked up into the cancer cells to grab and pull that into the cancer cell. And that's how, without side effect or, horrible outcome, people get a very good result. And again, I've seen this. I think it's terrific. It's called insulin potentiation therapy. So that's something people should look up. James Forsythe, Forsythe, Reno, Nevada. He's trained tons of other doctors. So there may be other oncologists who use his protocol in other areas local to where we are here or in other areas throughout the states. So that by far would be the greatest. Again, without knowing what your blood work looks like or your vitamins, minerals, and hormones, I certainly would have you come in, look at all of that. You could opt to do the vitamin IVs, but I think you should learn as much as you can in the circumstance you're in to be able to get your best outcome. Alrighty, once again, 888-420-9272, 888-420-9272. If you'd like to call in and ask a question, you could do so now. A lot of questions today. I love it. So, in all the years of doing my radio show, I would announce once a month or so that I would give a lecture at the Garden City Hotel. And we'd have people call the office to reserve a seat, always free. And we get 200 people, 250. We've had 300 people a couple of times to show up at the big room at the Garden City Hotel. I get up there and, wear a nice sport jacket or suit. No papers, no handouts, and people would ask questions. And similar to what we're doing now, I would just answer questions for 3 hours. Of course, my voice got a little raspy towards the end of it, but we covered so much ground, and people loved it. So I could do this for hours. This is what I love to do. Get people important information that they need. We're almost coming up to an hour.
Yeah, we got a caller.
We do. Let's go to our next caller.
Hi, I'm calling for Dr. Calapai.
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
How are you? Good. How can I help you?
Is this Dr. Calapai?
Yes. This is him.
Oh, hi. Pleasure to meet you. How are you?
Yes, sir. Great.
Oh, great. A friend of mine has used you, told me you were having a podcast today and told me to call in. So he told me to ask a question for myself. I had a liver transplant 4 years ago.
Okay.
And between the medication and this traumatic surgery, 14-hour surgery,
Wow.
I've developed some really bad neuropathy in my feet and my ankle areas. And he was wondering if the stem cell thing would help me.
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason I say that with some confidence is because your own cells, your own stem cells, will go to heart, lung, liver, kidney, pancreas to create repair. And as well, they decrease the inflammatory cascade. So that's a terrific way to put those cells to do the job that they always do, which is to create repair and to decrease inflammation. Now, again, the added bonus is we're going to look at your vitamins, minerals, hormones, everything else, fine-tune that, and try to improve free radical binding so that free radicals can't just damage and inflame you all over the place. So the stem cell IV would probably be the best avenue to help to change and protect your organs and your liver. But as well, we might even take some of the stem liquid and inject it right where you have your nerve-related degeneration and put it right to the spot.
Right. He said it's a pretty tough procedure.
Not really.
Taking out the stem cells.
Not really. It takes about a minute and a half. Excuse me?
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, it takes about a minute and a half.
Oh,
so
that's great.
I'll walk that through with you right now. So hopefully people can see this little iliac crest here on my handy-dandy spine. Okay, I got to move the camera a little bit. So this is the iliac crest.
I don't see it. I can't see you,
I can't see it. Okay, well, for people who can watch, they'll see it. Your iliac crest is that bone where your belt sits on, when you kind of wear your pants. So that bone dips down in the front, dips down in the back. As it dips down to the back, as I'm showing on the screen here, it ends in a fat little bump. And that bump is where we go to extract. So we sterilize and numb the area. Through a pinhole, we extract the fluid. It takes about a minute and a half. And we get about 60 cc's of fluid that we take, put that into a special centrifuge vial where we spin that, separating red blood cells, plasma, and stem cells go to the bottom because they're heavier than red blood cells. That has to be done in a 4,000 RPM centrifuge. You remember 33 1/3 records or 45 RPM records back in the day, a long time ago?
Yes.
This is a 4,000 RPM, so you're really separating and getting all the best stem cells from that.
Right. I'm
You take
familiar
that
with the centrifuge.
and you put it into the IV, so it goes into your vein, all over your body, over and over and over again, circulating. And then we inject it to where the nerves are damaged. And we also do this for joints. We do it for organs, brain, just about everything. So
This would help my new liver also?
the what? Well, you're going to have brand new cells go all over your body to help to create repair.
Now, there's no side effect with this relating to a transplant because remember, the liver that I have is not mine, so it doesn't really relate to my stem cells.
But
Does
stem
that
cells will
affect
still go
anything
to
with
the
this?
rest of your cells and tissues and certainly to your nerves to create that repair.
But it won't let me reject the liver, right?
No. These are your cells.
Okay, good.
It can't create rejection. These are your cells from your body. I don't know what could potentially happen if you got stem cells from someone else's umbilical cord, which we would never do. That's not legit in this country. We can't do that.
No, just the liver was not mine. It's somebody else's,
Correct.
Yeah.
Again, we have
Okay,
to
so
sit
there's no
down,
side
take your
effects
history,
to
go
this
over your
or
entire
anything?
picture so I could,
Yeah,
further
let's do
understand.
that. Can I make an appointment with you?
Yeah, sure. You can give a call to the office at 516-794-0404.
Wait, let me write this down. Vicky, take this phone number.
516
Dr. Calapai.
794
Hold on. 516-794-0404.
0404. That's it.
Dr. Calapai, I have everything.
And take a look at the
Calapai.
website. You'll see videos of patients that we've gotten great results with. That's
What's the
drcalapai.com.
website? Dr. Cal, let me get your spelling. C-A-L.
Calapai.
That's what I thought. C-A-L-A-P-A-I.
Are you Italian?
Dr. D-R. What's that?
Are you Italian?
Yes.
Only an Italian would understand the spelling of Calapai because no one else in the world.
Yeah, I knew right away.
What's that?
I wrote it in my book before I called you. C-A-L-A-P-A-I.
Wow, awesome. Because it's astounding
Yeah,
to me
it's
in
great.
39 years of doing this. Most people don't get it right. Even in pronunciation, people say Calliope, this and that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's
That's
just,
so funny.
it's just horrendous. But yeah,
By
it's
the
just
way,
something.
we have a mutual friend, Angelo Guccio.
Oh, of course, Angelo is great. Yeah. He
was
comes to
there
the
on
office all the
Tuesday.
time. He's the best.
Yeah, he says he's starting to feel like shit, which he expected, and now it's starting to get better.
He'll do well. He'll do very well.
Great. So I'm going to call your office and make an appointment.
Terrific. Look forward to seeing you.
And it's Dr. D-O-C-T-O-R,
Yes.
Calapai.com or DR?
drcalapai.com.
Thank you, sir.
You got it, man. Look forward to
Thank
seeing
you,
you.
doctor. Have a great weekend.
Okay, buddy.
Thank
Be well.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Interesting. Very cool stuff. So we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, we did. Hour and 5 we're at.
Hour and 5 minutes. That's almost a record. Is it a record?
Yeah, it is.
It's a record.
Hey-o.
There we go. Okay, so, friends, we'll be back here tomorrow at 2:30, roughly. Little apology today for getting here and starting a little bit later. Crazy dog. I can't call her little anymore. In my mind, she's little, but she's 145, almost 150 pounds St. Bernard. When she gets outside and it's nice out and she wants to run around, sometimes it's hard to catch her to get her back. And her and Delilah and Zeus. Yep, there she is. My little St. Bernard. And that's actually, I think that's a picture from October. She's even bigger than that now.
Double the size, maybe.
A guy came to the house the other day because I'm having some stuff done, and contractor, and he's got Cane Corsos, and those are big. A little scary because they look scary, but they're really sweet dogs. And he loved Delilah. He's just was totally enthralled with her. He goes, oh, my dogs would love her. And his canes are about 150 pounds, but they get bigger. I don't know how big she's going to be. That's my, that's not my concern. I guess the bigger the better. Her father was 200 pounds, is 200 pounds, and the mother's 165. So if she ends up anywhere in between there, I'm going to run out of money, feeding her. Between her and Zeus, they eat like Vikings, but they're both sweet. They're terrific dogs. I'm blessed. I couldn't have it any better. Now I got to go to Petco and buy some more stuff. All righty. Thank you, friends, for tuning in, watching, listening. Thank you for the calls. A lot of great calls today. Really, really great questions. Give us a call at the office, 516-794-0404. Certainly, you could take a look at the website, drcalapai.com. And we love to get your calls every Monday, Friday, 12:30 to 2:30, and Saturday, 2:30 to whenever. All righty. God bless you all. Bye-bye now. Talk to you.